Good morning and welcome to ARIN 46, the second day of our ARIN virtual meeting. I'd like to welcome everyone back after an exciting day of discussions yesterday, and would like to go over some brief announcements. On the meeting, we have attending our Board of Trustees as usual, and they will be paying attention to what's going on, of course. We have our ARIN Advisory Council, next slide, who are the ones who administer the policy discussions that are going on. You'll have various AC members presenting the policies that are being considered before the community. Next slide. We also have members of the ARIN NRO Number Council who help coordinate global policy matters among the 5 RIRs and work within the ICANN structure to do things like elect ICANN board member. So very happy to have those folks with us, in addition to the attendees working on the, who will be participating in today's policy discussions. I want to remind you about some minor logistics items about the policy discussions. For those of you who were here yesterday, this will sound familiar. First, we have a chat going on. The chat you can get at by clicking the button in the lower left corner of your screen, and it's open discussion, and it's not for questions for the panel. It's just for you to talk amongst yourself. We will use the chat if there's something that needs to come to everyone's attention, and you should use the chat similarly if somehow we're not noticing something happening during the meeting. Raise hand if you want to be in queue to speak to something happening in the meeting. Use the raise hand button. You'll be added to the queue. And when it's time for questions and answers, we'll eventually do the live ones by pulling people out of the queue as usual. And then the Q&A button. You can actually, if you want to ask a question and not bother to speak before the whole group, you can use the Q&A button. Whether you're asking a question via Q&A or whether or not you're going to be doing it live by raising your hand, please remember to include your name and your affiliation. When you submit things via the Q&A button, that will make sure that we have it in queue, and that's one of the things we'll go through is pull all the written questions before we get to the live speakers. Next slide. So when we get to the policy discussions, it's easier to have the chair of ARIN, Paul Anderson, moderate the discussion. That allows staff to be a supporting role. And Paul, I'll turn it over to Paul for that portion. And then, so he will be the one running it, as usual, as was done yesterday. Again, please clearly state your name and affiliation each time you're recognized to speak. And again, if you submit something via the Q&A, again, name and affiliation. The whole meeting is done under ARIN Standards of Behavior. If you have any questions, you can find it online or in your discussion guide. And it just says, be respectful of one another. Please give other people the opportunity to speak. Please keep the discussions relevant to the policy issues, not personal attacks or personal matters. Okay, next slide. We are recording and live streaming, and that will let us have a good record of the meeting. The slides will be made available after the end of this, after the end of the entire member meeting, as part of the meeting report, as will the transcripts. Because there's transcripts, I ask people speak clearly and slowly, including myself. I have a bit of a problem with that. All the materials for the meeting, including the policies being discussed, the presentations, are available under the ARIN 46 materials at www.arin.net, ARIN 46 materials. Okay, our agenda today, we have a early part of the agenda and then a second part after the early part will have us discussing 3 policy proposals. These are not recommended draft policies. These are policies that are still in development, and the AC is presenting them in order to get more feedback from the community as to how they should evolve. One includes 2020-6, allowance for IPv4 allocation swap transactions, ARIN 2020-7, GTLD microallocation definition, and then 2028, clarify and update the 4212 annual renewal fee. We'll then have a break, and our break will again include a stretching exercise as we did yesterday with ARIN, and we'll have a trivia contest during the break. When we get back from the break, we have our IETF report, a classic part of our ARIN meetings. We'll have a general update given by Richard Jimerson. We'll talk about the ARIN customer satisfaction survey that was just completed, a presentation about training and outreach going on at ARIN, and then our open microphone session for any questions that might have come up or things that people have a burning interest in. With that, I'm now going to turn it over to our first presenter, who's Owen DeLong, who will talk about ARIN 2020-6, allowance for IPv4 allocation swap transactions.